Another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Fran McNamara, and for the next hour, and it says hour, but yeah, it's hour. For the next hour, I'll be reading from the May 15th through 21st, 2026 issue of Buffalo Business First on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. So let's get to it. And of course, we have a cover picture here. And by the way, for those that are, I actually did get a comment. I am reading from a computer screen. I am not reading the hard copy. Okay, there's a gentleman sitting here on the cover of this issue, very broad grin on his face, blue suit, light blue shirt, striped blue vertical striped tie, rather dashing look here, and he's sitting on a black office leather chair, and it says Terry Galanis Jr. Terry Galanis Jr., Manufacturer of the Year, built a legacy. He's dedicated more than 54 years to Sealing Devices. That's the name of the company, which is still growing in Lancaster, New York. And that article will be written, and is written, by Katie Anderson. It's on page 14. Let's see if we can get to it. And there's also a blurb on the bottom for my favorite feature, The List, Western New York's nonprofits and largest insurance firms. So that's telling me there's a number of lists. Pages 8, 50, and 52. Well, hopefully we'll get to at least one of those lists. Then the business of sports. Buffalo can learn from Pittsburgh. As Buffalo vies to host an NFL draft, this year's host city offers some tips. And that's an article by Lee and Bunny on page 4, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get to that one. Then we have cybersecurity. Cybercrime can happen to anyone. Cautionary tales from 4 local companies hit by attacks in the past year. And that will be in the focus section on page 42. So that's it for the cover. So we're moving down to first things first on page 2. And oh, this is one that I enjoy too. 14 restaurants open in April, bringing with them 250 plus jobs. And this is under data and details. And it's brought to us by Tracy Drury. More than a dozen new food and drink establishments open in April in Western New York, bringing with them at least 250 jobs. And there's a picture here accompanying the article, a flight of lobster rolls from the Alcott Lobster Company, which opened in the village of Lewiston. Don't know if you're into lobster rolls, but they have, looks like a very sumptuous meal. It's an elongated plate. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3. Looks like there's 4 lobster rolls here, and they're garnished, if I may use that word, by sliced lemon. Okay, now let's get to these more than a dozen. Okay, the first is Old City Pizza. Opened in the basement level of Pearl Street Grill and Brewery at 76 Pearl Street, where it replaced Brawler's Deli. Wow. Okay, in addition to offering Neapolitan-style pizza, it opens at 7 a.m. with a limited service spot coffee. Both are ventures by Pearl Street family of companies, which added 25 jobs by way of this opening. Okay, so that's at 76 Pearl. You can get some Old City Pizza and also spot coffee in the morning. The next one is Peppers. And Peppers opened at 700 Military Road in the city's Black Rock neighborhood, creating 15 plus jobs, where Froth Brewing Company closed in late January. Shamshir Elvis Singh and his business partner Genevieve Millet are also leasing the building, and they are offering a menu of small plates and shareables. Okay, thirdly, we have Circa Cafe. It opened as a smoothie and juice bar at 2101 Military Road in Niagara Falls, where Niagara's own coffee company had closed in the spring of 2025. Next, we have Ember Kitchen, and they opened at 257 West Genesee Street in downtown Buffalo, where chef J.J. Richard, or Reichard, depending on how they wanted it pronounced, has opened a French-inspired bakery cafe and second-floor cafeteria to serve the tenants of the building, including Ingram Micro. Reichard expects to create 40 jobs. And that again is Ember Kitchen at 257 West Genesee, downtown Buffalo. And who wouldn't want the next one? Funville Family Fun Center. They opened at 68 Tonawanda Street in Buffalo at the former Hatchets and Hops. The private party entertainment center is owned by Yolanda Fanville McKnight, who expects to create about 8 jobs. Okay, next we have The Nook. The Nook opened at 2 Main Street in Forestville, where Amy and Wendy Love created a gathering spot cafe with seating for about 20 inside. The Nook, which will start out with just 2 or 3 employees, offers coffee, tea, fresh lemonade, as well as panini and breakfast sandwiches. So that's The Nook in Forestville. Next we have Soiree Lounge and Grill. They opened inside Hotel at the Lafayette at 391 Washington Street in Buffalo, at the space where Lafayette Brewing Company closed. And they had closed in 2023. But now owner Brenda Hardy plans to hire about 30 people. Okay. Next we have Alcott Lobster Company, and that's the people that gave us that great picture of the flight of lobster rolls. They opened a location at 755 Center Street in the village of Lewiston, where Michelle Posentides took over the Stonehouse and now employs a staff of 40. The original Alcott Lobster at 5860 East Main Street in Alcott is expected to reopen May 15th, excuse me, for its second season, with employment doubling this summer from 12 to 24. So, Alcott Lobster is expanding, basically expanding their number of outlets, with one at 755 Center Street in Lewiston, and the other one is at 5860 East Main Street in Alcott. Next we have Cafe Gazelic. They open at 617 Fillmore Avenue in Buffalo, where, Ethan and Jennifer Cox bought the former Polish Cooperative Savings and Loan Bank building, which also previously housed the Polish Army Veterans Association of America. The cafe is staffed primarily by the Cox family, so that's at 617 Fillmore Avenue. Next we have, and these are each punctuated with a period, F-A-T. Fat opened at 253 Allen Street, where Days Park Tavern closed in the summer of 2025 after a 3-year run. Owner Zachary Russell and his wife Kayla are planning late-night food options that will focus on burgers and sandwiches with a staff of 10 to 15. So that's on Allen Street. And it's F-A-T, each capitalized and punctuated with a period, for those of you who plan to slim down. Next we have Just Salad, opened at 8124 Transit Road in East Amherst at Benderson Developments Eastview Plaza. I guess they serve just salad. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm sure there's a variety of side items to go with the salads as well as beverages. The next one is Hokkaido Ramen House and Sushi. They opened at 3860 McKinley Parkway in Blaisdell. It's the first of two sites coming to Western New York from the national fast casual Japanese ramen restaurant, which is also leased a site at 8222 Transit Road in Clarence. Next we have Seven Brew Coffee, and they open at 5770 South Transit Road in Lockport, the chain's fourth Western New York location. Franchisee Brewtopia Buffalo LLC is also working on sites in Cheektowaga and Hamburg as part of a $20 million investment in the region. Each site employs 50 to 75 workers. Now again, that's Seven Brew Coffee, 5770 South Transit Road, Lockport. And finally, the Flicking, with no G, the Flickin' Bean was launched by Alicia Crone as a brew truck coffee shop on wheels with a menu of espressos, cold brew, and other drinks, plus higher-end breakfast fare like frittatas and breakfast strudel. Well, that's quite an assortment and variety that Tracy Drury is supplying us here on page T2 under Data and Details. And it says, more online. Keep up with the latest openings, closings, and changes in Western New York's food and drink industry at www.bizjournals.com/buffalo/news/food-and-lifestyle. Okay, so that takes us to page 3 and another regular feature, and this one is called Power People. And this needs a little bit of an explanation for some of you newcomers, as opposed to some of our established listeners. About the feature. Buffalo Business First publishes 3 annual Power Lists: the Power 250, the Power 200 Women, and the Power 100 Business Leaders of Color, featuring the top business leaders in Western New York. Each week we will tell you more about an executive on those lists, and this week it's Lynn Marie Finn, that's Finn, who is CEO of Broadleaf Results. And there's a picture of her here in a very soft looking blazer, soft green blazer with a matching shirt underneath, and some jewelry on her, of course, and a broad grin because she's being featured here on our show. Broad smile on her face, and it says her Power 200 Women rank 2025 is 53. So let's see what she tells us about Broadleaf Results. And this is brought to you by Josh Gully, who gave us the background on Lynn and also provided some areas of discussion or questions. So Josh says about Lynn, when Lynn Marie Finn was a teenager, she'd have preferred working at McDonald's instead of the family business. But her father, Richard Stenzik, insisted otherwise. After law school, she entered private practice and worked for the Erie County District Attorney's Office. Her father eventually persuaded her to join the Aileron Group, that's A-L-E-R-O-N. He persuaded her to join the Aileron Group as general counsel. Eventually, she took over Broadleaf Results, a workforce management staffing company under the Aileron umbrella that her mother, Dolores, ran for years. Since then, changes have abounded, from name rebranding to global expansion. So here's a quote from Lynn. We're always looking at how we can be better. How can we grow? Growth is always important for any company, and if you're not growing, it's hard to keep going. That's a quote from Lynn. And another quote, we're always looking at what's next. Don't rest on any laurels. What's the next thing? Close quote. Broadleaf is Western New York's 5th largest woman-owned business with 108 local employees. Finn is working to ensure the firm continues for another 70 years and has passed some duties on to new leaders. After decades as CEO and president, Finn in 2025 relinquished her dual title when Brian Crystal became president. And she says, I'm still involved, but not so much in the day-to-day, she said. So I'm trying to navigate that changed role. Okay, and before we get to Josh Gully's areas of discussion for Lynn, I'd just like to remind you that you're listening to a reading of articles and features from the latest issue of Buffalo Business First, right here on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. So let's get back to these queries. Josh says, Lynn, describe yourself as a boss. And she says immediately, collaborative. Over the years, you really come to realize who's the boss of whom. I like her use of pronouns. We're all in this as a team together. Not that I don't lead, make decisions, or set the agenda for what we want to accomplish, but I do that by embracing the involvement of my team. It's not my vision, it's our vision. So Josh next says, what are the qualities you seek when hiring? And Lynn responds, curiosity. I want a lifelong learner. Integrity is huge with me. We also need creative, innovative thinkers and somebody who's got grit that will stick with it when times get tough. And somebody that can admit they made a mistake, but they learn from it. What don't people know about you, Lynn? I've had a hole-in-one, and I didn't start golf until late in life. I actually had 2 holes in one, but the second one I can't count because it was my provisional shot. My first shot went in the water. So, oh my. Well, still it was a hole in one stroke, let's put it that way. Okay, now what advice do you have for your 25-year-old self? And she says, don't be afraid to take risks. Don't worry so much about what other people think. Keep your focus on the big picture. So next, Josh asks her, what's the most amazing part of the job? And she says, solving our clients' talent challenges. There's no better feeling than when a client comes back and says you did a great job for them and really solved the problem. That gets me so happy because we put a lot of work into it, and for them to recognize that and appreciate that means the world to me. So, Josh asks this question. Pick one job outside of your current role. And she says, broadcast journalist. I love to meet people who are making a difference, who are in the news, interview them, bring stories to the world, and bring important issues to the world. And as he usually does, Josh's last question or topic of conversation. What is a change you would make in Buffalo if you possessed a magic wand? And she said, I would move the new stadium to downtown Buffalo. I just think it's such a missed opportunity not to have the stadium downtown. I'm a huge proponent of downtown development. We're so fortunate to be on the water downtown, and unfortunately over the years, Buffalo has not capitalized enough on that. If you take a strong, vital downtown, you have a strong community, business-wise, family-wise, and attracts new people to the city. It's a no-brainer. Well, that's it for that feature. That's it for page 3. And that's it where we met Lynn Marie Finn, CEO of Broadleaf Results. So that was page 3. We move on to page 4, and oh my gosh, how timely is this? Leon Bundy handles the business of sports. Okay. Now, Leon has 2 articles for us here, and what I call a mystery item. So I think we'll just mix things up a little today, and we'll start with the smallest, not the smallest article, and we'll skip the mystery for now. Leadership. Encore, that's one word, capital O, small n, capital C-O-R-E. Encore Golf names new CEO and shifts focus. A Buffalo-based golf technology company is refocusing its efforts on launching a platform under the leadership of a new CEO. Encore Golf, headquartered at 19 Elm Street, plans to launch its CYNC platform in June. The platform involves sensors that interact with an app that gives golfers specific data to help them improve their gameplay. The company's board in 2025 replaced Encore's golf's leadership because the business needed to refocus on the CYNC platform, according to Jordan, who is based in Texas. The business employs 10, including 5 in Buffalo. Before Jordan's tenure as CEO, Encore Golf was bringing a product to market called the Genius Ball. Since then, Encore Golf has refocused on the CYNC platform as a subscription revenue product rather than the ball, a single-use product. Okay, how about that? So next we have the mystery quote. Okay, here's the quote. This team can perform from a revenue perspective in the top half of the league, which I think is saying a lot considering we're one of the smallest markets. Okay, so we know it's about a small market. It's a team, so we have to figure sports. A sports league member in one of the smallest markets. So I love Buffalo to bits, but I'm going to assume they mean the Western New York market. So, who's making this quote? Well, we have a number of professional teams. And by the way, I don't know the answers until I read the bottom line. But here we go. It's Pete Guelli, President of Business Operations for the Buffalo Sabres, on the team's financial potential. And here's the quote again. This team can perform from a revenue perspective in the top half of the league, which I think is saying a lot considering we're one of the smallest markets. So here. My gosh. Okay, so now the next article takes up the rest of page 4 here, and Leon Bunny writes, events. The NFL draft set a 3-day attendance record in Pittsburgh in April. So, here's the headline. Pittsburgh offers tips for hosting the draft. Okay. So, this is also written by Leon Bunny. Here's a subheading. As Buffalo vies to host, there's a lot to learn from a neighbor's experience. The 2026 National Football League draft has 805,000 attendees across the 3-day event, marking a new attendance record. Okay, so we're looking at over 750,000 people were in Pittsburgh for the draft. Okay, keeping in mind the draft is really where they select players for their teams. You may see some notable people on the team already, and of course some of the higher-ups. But 750,000 people just for the draft? How exciting. And also you'll probably see most of the people that are the immediate draft choices. So let's see what it says here. For those host cities, in this case Pittsburgh, that means more opportunities for impact, from visitors to the city to viewers who just watch on television. And Jared Bacher, President and CEO of Visit Pittsburgh, says, there's not a lot of opportunities to really stretch out the benefit over multiple days like you're able to do with the draft. It's a large-scale stadium event. This is a really unique opportunity to show what your city can do in just a much, much different scale. Okay, close quote. Not only is Pittsburgh just a 3.5-hour drive from Buffalo, but the two also share similarities as Rust Belt cities that battled economic downturn with the decline of the industrial sector. As Buffalo vies to host the 2029 or 2030 NFL draft, there are lessons to be learned from Pittsburgh's experience. Now, the city of Pittsburgh contributed $1 million plus public works and safety support. The county commissioner Okay. They're leaving out part of a sentence there. Okay. So we'll get back to that again, and I think I'll edit the word. The city of Pittsburgh contributed $1 million plus public works and safety support. The county committed $3 million, the state $10 million, and Visit Pittsburgh $2 million. The event was held April 23rd through 25th, and it was split across the Allegheny River. The Draft Theater and main stage were the North Shore, using the area outside of Acrisure Stadium as a natural amphitheater. The Free Fan Festival was held across the river at Point State Park in downtown Pittsburgh. Here are some of Bakker's biggest pieces of advice for markets like Buffalo that want to host the draft. And how nice of him to do this, by the way. First, prove to the NFL that the community is going to rise up together. Okay, that's in bold type. Then it says, make sure operationally you're ready to deliver and that you're solution driven. The last thing the NFL wants or really needs is going into a community that doesn't work together, Bakker said. There's a lot of challenges putting an event like this on because it is so noted every year. Next point, think through the entire life cycle of the event. That includes programming and activities leading up to and after the event, as well as those going on during the event. But it's important that activities and businesses rally around the draft as the main attraction and that they don't detract from the event. Next, remember it's a long-term investment in holding future events. One of the 4 pillars that Pittsburgh is using to measure return on investment is on returning events. The city has investors, site selectors, and event organizers there for the draft to make sure they saw Pittsburgh in its prime. Manage your expectations. While the draft is a huge opportunity for the area, the impact is concentrated on the draft site and immediately surrounding area. Fans want to be near the site, not traveling all over the region. Then he says, focus on storytelling during the bidding process. How does your city help tell the story of football? But also, how can the NFL help tell your story? The league engages with the hosting city and local broadcast partners, which need to fill 3 days with content. And finally, he adds at the end, just based on what I've seen in other markets where they've held this, I think Buffalo would be a fantastic option. And how nice of him to say that. Jared Bakker, President and CEO of Visit Pittsburgh, on Buffalo's potential as a host city. And he says in the quote underneath their picture of the people jam-packed outside the draft broadcast, it's a great city. Now he's talking about Buffalo. It's a great city. It's a great football town. It certainly has a story to tell. Well, that's the end of page 4, and that was brought to you by Lee and Bunny, but I got to say thank you, sir, Jared Bakker, President, CEO of Visit Buffalo. I'm sorry, there's a Freudian slip. President and CEO of Visit Pittsburgh on Buffalo's potential as a host city, so how nice of him to say that. Okay, page 5 is a full-page ad, and you know I don't read the ads to you. I'm sorry, but I don't. So next we go to hotels and hospitality. And these are written by Tracy Drury. And God bless her heart, Tracy gives us, ta-da, A mystery quote. Hang on to your hats, kids. And before we get to the mystery quote, it's my timely reminder. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Business First on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. So here's the quote, quotable. We will take a little pause before deciding our next plan. Oh my, famous last words of George Armstrong Custer. No, it's got to be business related. So, we will take a little pause before deciding our next plan. Diana Harfouch, co-owner of Clocks Grove, after the town of West Seneca rejected a rezoning request to allow cottage-style accommodations. Okay, so once again, she says, now she's co-owner of Clocks Grove. We will take a little pause before deciding our next plan. From what I recall, they were going to ask to have Clocks Grove rezoned to allow for a full development of cottage-style accommodations on their long slope that goes from the event site and a parking lot down to the road. And it's about the size of a football field. So anyways, it wasn't Armstrong Custer. Now, how about this article from Tracy Drury? Buffalo. New operator aims to rejuvenate Richardson. The folks at Hotel Equities are used to unique properties, but even they were impressed by Buffalo's Richardson Hotel. The Colorado-based hospitality company took over operations in the summer of 2025 from Douglas Development. Under Douglas, gross revenue at the Richardson in 2025 fell to its lowest levels since the hotel reopened in early 2023. Mike Sutter, Vice President of Operations for the Full Service and Lifestyles Division, is part of the team that's making regular visits to Buffalo to begin rebuilding the business in partnership with the Richardson Center Corporation. Hotel Equities declined to disclose specific occupancy rates in the company's first 6 months in the management's role, but bed tax dollars collected through the Erie County illustrate significant growth, with $35,060 collected in the fourth quarter, up from $18,840 in the second quarter under the previous operator. So, there's plans to rejuvenate the Richardson on the site of the Psychiatric Center on Elmwood Avenue in Buffalo, New York. Okay, now we have the next and the largest of these articles under hotels and hospitality. Orchard Park Country Club. Upgrade will restore classic course design. And there's 3 individuals teeing off here. In the back you can see part of the clubhouse and a gazebo towards the back for picture taking and just enjoying a hot toddy or something. These 3 gentlemen are teeing off. The man in the lead there between the 2 markers has just hit his ball and he's looking straight forward, as opposed to when I hit mine and I'm usually looking at the ground nearby the tee off. And then there's 2 men watching him, helping him to figure out where his ball landed. But now let's see what Tracy writes about the Orchard Park Country Club. Multi-million-dollar plan will return the golf course to its layout from 1916. So that's 110 years ago. Orchard Park Country Club is preparing for a multi-million-dollar golf course upgrade to restore the 100-year-old original designs by noted golf course architect, Walter Travers. The club expects to receive bids by May 18th on the master plan, which includes addressing needs-based upgrades and aspirational improvements. Both will help attract and retain members at the South Buffalo Road campus, just outside the village of Orchard Park. This, according to Stephen Fuse, but it's spelled F-E-U-Z, family name. Stephen Fuse, who's the general manager. And he says, our strongest strength as a club is our proximity to the village. Second is, we're a golf club. We wouldn't be here without the golf course, defined as a classic course, meaning it's over 100 years old. But we know that some of the original characteristics of the course can be lost over time. Plans call for breaking ground in summer 2027, completing the project by early 2029. The two-phase project will include working on 9 holes from mid-August 27 through early May 28, with all 18 holes open through that summer. In September 2028, they'll tackle the other 9 holes. And now, here's another quote from him. He says, at all times, we have a minimum of 9 holes playable. And in the peak summer months, we're trying to keep all 18 playable, he says. The project includes adding some length to the course while spacing out tee boxes more appropriately to fit golfers of different ages and abilities. Oh my. Okay, they're speaking of me. Okay, the club hopes to return to the original course layout from 1916, seen through blimp coverage footage from 1927. How unique. That includes restoring hole 12 from a par 4 to a par 5, with 4 large fairway bunkers as originally designed by the architect Travis. And we also have another quote here. Fuse says, it will likely become our signature hole. He's a highly regarded golf course architect from the 1900s, with about 50 courses done under him. It's going to probably make the course more pure and more challenging at the same time. The club has been growing. With membership exceeding 500, revenue grew to $5.9 million in 2024, up from $5.6 million the year prior, and $2.9 million in 2019, according to tax filings. The course master plan follows more than $5 million in capital improvements over the past 5 years, including a $1.6 million clubhouse and patio renovation in 2022, and a $2.7 million irrigation system update completed in 2024. On the maintenance side, the new project will give attention to new bunkers and tee boxes, which no longer line up with the fairway as well as they should. They'll be laser leveled and updated. The project will also address depreciating drainage, including piping that rots over time, and tree maintenance for root invasion and trees that have grown, quite frankly, too big. The course master plan follows the acquisition in spring 2025 of the 5,264 square foot former Quaker House Tavern restaurant on an adjoining parcel, which is now being used for parking. Long term, the club has plans for the building in another 5 years. Though plans for the project are not yet finalized, it will likely include the introduction of enough golf simulators to allow for off-season leagues and potentially a new fitness center, both a high priority for the members. So there you see, a lot of things going on. Richardson, we have the Orchard Park Country Club, and then Clocks Grove itself going to start to make new decisions. So thank you, Tracy Drury. That concludes page 6, and we're getting here to page 7, commercial real estate. Jacob Tierney, and Jacob, bless his soul, has given us another mystery item, the big number, $1.73 million. What could that be? Now, we're under commercial real estate, so we have to assume here that that's the price of the land, or are they refurbishing some buildings that already exist? What could it possibly be? And again, I don't read the explanation until I'm reading it to you. Okay, the big number, 1.73 million. The amount for which a company led by brother and sister team Anthony and Gabriella Ragusa, owners of Giancarlo's Sicilian Steakhouse and Anna Blue Mediterranean Kitchen, purchased a church at 5125 Main Street in Williamsville. So these restaurateurs have paid $1.73 million for a church at 5125 Main Street in Williamsville. Okay. Now here's a full article from Jacob Tierney under commercial real estate, and it says, development. Stricter rules come as developers add storage to solar projects. And there's a picture here. It looks like those new battery storage. Yes, it is. That's what it says. Key Capture Energy battery storage facility in Blaisdell. Matthew Eldred, partner, Hartner, Sechrist and Emery, on laws for battery energy storage, says, I still see the trend from developers as saying, there's nothing to see here, just trust us. It's safe. Okay, and here's the article about those stricter rules. Towns express caution on battery storage. Battery energy storage systems are the next frontier in the state's push toward green energy. But many Western New York companies have started putting these types of projects under increased scrutiny. Battery storage is seen as a partial solution as the state seeks to phase out peaker plants. That's P-E-A-K-E-R, peaker plants. Battery storage is seen as a potential solution as the state seeks to phase out peaker plants, or fossil fuel burning power plants that are only active during times of high demand. Renewable energy sources are dependent on sun and wind, so generate power. Renewable energy sources are dependent on sun and wind to generate power. They can't be ramped up when demand is higher. There's been a move to build more battery storage over the last few years, but it's really ramped up since summer of 2025. The One Big Beautiful Bill passed by the federal government in 2025 guts many federal financial incentives for solar and wind projects, but battery storage remained largely untouched. This means green energy developers, particularly working on solar projects, are increasingly adding battery aspects to make the projects pencil out. Now here's a quote from Matthew Eldred, a partner at Harder, Secret and Emery LLP, who specializes in energy and land use. And he says, there's a common feature in all community solar projects now, and as a result, local municipal planning boards and town boards are now seeing those applications include battery storage where they didn't before. Close quote. Meanwhile, a series of high-profile fires involving large battery storage facilities have brought new scrutiny to these projects. In 2025, a fire at a large battery storage facility in California required the temporary evacuation of 1,200 residents. In 2024, another facility in California had a fire and continued to experience flare-ups for a week after the initial incident. According to data from the Electric Power Research Institute, battery storage facilities are getting safer. The number of major incidents being reported has stayed about that flat, even as the total number of battery facilities grows quickly. Concerns over the fire or over fires are driving much of the local push to regulate battery storage systems, this according to Eldred. Numerous local communities over the last few months have adopted or are considering code updates to regulate battery storage systems. An update being considered by Amherst is typical of those that have been introduced in other communities. It requires storage system operators to get a permit from the town, limits large-scale projects to general industrial or research development zones, and requires developers to submit a decommissioning plan for when the system has finished its use. Okay, so that's commercial real estate, and we had the big number about the restaurateurs buying the church, and now we have the problem of battery storage being addressed by the towns. So that's the end of page 7, and for those of you that know me, you know why I'm so excited, because right now we're getting into the first of the lists. And as you know, if you've listened to me for a while, that's my favorite feature in Buffalo Business First. Okay, so this one is compiled by Todd Keogh. This list is the list of the Western New York nonprofits ranked by most current revenue for 501c organizations in the region. And it mentions that they got this from Forms 990, which were filed by these nonprofits with the Internal Revenue Service. So we go to number 1, and it's Bryan and Stratton College, and they're headquartered in Orchard Park. Their most current revenue, $302.36 million. Most current expense, $274 million. Most current asset, $238 million. And their top local executive is David Vaden. By the way, I'm rounding these off to the nearest million to save time. Number 2 is the Labor Management Healthcare Fund, headquartered in Cheektowaga. So, most current is $277 million. Most current expense is $277 million. Most current asset is $56 million. And Victoria Martino is the top local executive. Next we have in third place People Incorporated, headquartered in Williamsville. They have most current revenue is $250 million. Most current expense is $239 million. And their asset is $102 million. Ann McCaffrey is their top local executive. Fourth place, we have Niagara University. And of course, that's in Niagara U, up in the Falls. Their most current revenue is $161 million. Their most current expense is $165 million. And their most current asset is $270 million. And James Mayer is their top local executive. In fifth place, we have St. Bonaventure University, of course, down in Olean area. Their current revenue is $138 million. Their current expenses are $130 million. And their current asset is $264 million. And Jeff Gingrich is their top local executive. Sixth place, we have Alfred University in Alfred, New York. Okay. Current revenue is $136 million. Current expense is $128 million. Their assets are $451 million, and Mark Zupin, is their top local executive. Seventh place, we have New York 44 Health Benefits Plan Trust, Erie Bosse's, headquartered on Harlem Road in West Seneca. The current revenue is $130 million. Current expense is $136 million, and their asset is $72 million, and James Forgelet is their top local executive. In eighth place, we have University of Buffalo Foundation, and their revenue is at $123 million. Their current expenses are $94 million, and this is the first one in the billions. Their current asset volume is $1.44 billion. Anastasio Napper is their top local executive. In ninth place, we have Evergreen Health. They're headquartered on Elmwood Avenue in the city. Their current revenue is $119 million. Current expenses, $111 million. And they have $64 million in assets. Raymond Ganu is their top local executive. And rounding out the top 10, we have Canisius University on Main and Buffalo. Their current revenue is $103 million. Their current expenses are $110 million. And their assets are $278 million. Steve Stout is their top local executor. So that rounds out the top 10. Okay, in 11th place, we have the Visiting Nurses Association of Western New York, headquartered in Cheektowaga. Their current revenue is at $100 million. Their current expenses are at that's $98 million. And they have assets of $49 million. Lisa Greisler is their top local executive. 12th place, we have DeUval University on Porter and Buffalo, $99 million in revenue, $104 million in expenses, and then they have $238 million in assets. Lori Schimmel is their top local executive. 13th is Aspire of Western New York, headquartered in Gettsville, $95 million in revenue, $90 million in expense, and they have $42 million in assets. And Renee Phillip is their top local executive. Next, in 14th place, we have Damon University on Main and Amherst, $93 million in revenue, $92 million in expenses, $84 million in asset, and Gary Olson is their top local executive. 15th place, we have Best Self Behavioral, and they are on Main Street in Buffalo, headquartered. $82 million in revenue, $85 million in expenses, and $110 million in assets. Elizabeth Woik is their top local executive. 16th place, University Emergency Medical Services on Goodell Street in the city. $77 million in revenue, $67 million in expense, $16 million in assets, and Robert McCormick is their top local executive. 17th place, we have the Resource Center on Dunham in Jamestown. $72 million in revenue, $68 million in expenses, $52 million in assets, and Denise Jones is their top local executive. In 18th place, we have University Orthopedic Services, headquartered on Genesee and Cheektowaga. $71 million in revenue, $71 million also in expenses, and $57 million in assets. Christopher Ritter is their top local executive. Trinity Medical, headquartered on Genesee Street in Buffalo, $67 million revenue, $79 million in expenses, and $19 million in assets. Tom Gleason is their top local executive. Next we have, after Trinity, number 20 is the ARC of Erie County, headquartered Wilson Road in Williamsville. They have $65 million in revenue, $53 million in expenses, and $33 million in assets. Douglas DeGesire is their top local executive. So that's the 11 through 20. And now we have 5 more to round it out to 25. Okay. 21 is Baker Hall OLV on Ridge in Lackawanna, $65 million revenue, $62 in expenses, and $37 million in assets. Cindy Lee is the top local executive. 22 is Chautauqua Institute, obviously in Chautauqua, New York. $63 million in revenue, $43.57 million in expenses, and they have total asset of $272 million. Kyle Keogh is their top local executive. Next, 23, we have Western New York Independent Living on Main and Buffalo. $61 million in revenue, $59 in expenses, and $29 in assets. Those are all millions. Stephanie Orlando is the top local executive. The last two, 24th place, Neighborhood Health Center, Western New York, located on Lawn Avenue, or headquartered in the city on Lawn Avenue. $59 million in revenue, $57 million in expenses, $39 million in assets. Joanne Hefner is their top local executive. And finally, CUBRC, Kubrick Incorporated, Genesee Street in Buffalo, $57 million in revenue, $57 million in expenses, and $47 million in assets. Thomas McMahon is their top local executive. So, okay, so therefore, again, these are ranked by most current revenue for 50 501c organizations based in the region, and all the figures were let's say, taken from or obtained from Form 990s, which were filed by each of these 501cs with the Internal Revenue Service. So it's a matter of public knowledge. So unfortunately, that's the end of my time with you. So we finished on page 8. Okay, and of course this was Buffalo Business First. I just wanted to say that for those that may be listening for the first or second time, that you can call, or even better yet, go to our website by putting NFRSS in your browser search box, and you'll come to our very accessible web page, which tells you our purpose, many other things, a statement of purpose, and it has a guide for when you were broadcasting, and it also has something of invaluable worth to you, is it has our library of things you can, for lack of a better phrase, tune into. And believe me, it goes back a ways. So it's not just this current week in Buffalo Business First or in anything else, because we do newspapers, magazines, other periodicals, also books of all types, fiction and nonfiction. So give it a go. Check it out on your computer. And don't forget, the easiest thing to do would be to put in an FRRS. And also, if you need some more information about what we do, we're located on Harlem Road in South Cheektowaga, but our phone number is 716-821-5555. And believe me, a world of knowledge and, might I say, entertainment awaits you. So, you've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the May 15th through 21st, 2026 issue of Buffalo Business First. We read from Buffalo Business First every Wednesday at 7. Your reader has been Fran McNamara, and I really want to offer you a sincere thank you, both to the established listeners and to our new ones. Thank you very much for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have Time Magazine. Following that, 8 o'clock is the New York Times. And at 9 o'clock, we continue our comic book readings each and every week. Thanks to our forensic comic historian. We continue with issue number 3 of Batman from 2025, Ultimate Spider-Man number 1, Superman number 1, and The Vision, issues number 1 through 3. Stay with us. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability